Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. How the heck are you? I am Diana Clarion, the Lavender Lady, and this is Coffee with Lavender. And this morning I've got a couple very wonderful people here with me. There is the absolutely wonderful, brilliant, and beautiful Wonder Lady, Faye,
Thank you.
and somebody I just started interacting with last night on one of Faye's shows. Um, a person by the name of Obaid, or is it Obeyed?
It's obeyed.
Obeyed, fine with me. Um, and these two folks are on with me this morning because on Faye's show last night, we got to talking about the songs that seem to be musica non grata, if you will, especially the one called Baby It's Cold Outside, which a number of radio stations have decided they will not play because they sound predatory in a sexual way. And I got to talking about that last night, and I wanted to bring the conversation up here because it is a bit of a different viewpoint than I've heard from the official sources. Um, so I'll go into a little bit of history with this. Um, I think it was an Ohio station, possibly a Cleveland station, that first decided we're not going to play this song because it sounds predatory. And then a whole bunch of other stations picked up on it. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that throughout Canada, the song is just simply not played. A number of air.
It's not through. It's the Canadian National Carrier CBC
Okay.
has agreed to stop playing it on all their radio stations. So other radio stations can, but the
Okay.
national. So it's like the Canadian version of NPR. CBC is a public broadcaster that's funded by the government. They do have advertising, but it's mainly funded by the government, and they're the ones. They're the ones who said, "Well, no, we will not play it, and we will not play it on our radio stations."
Okay. Oh, and by the way, everybody over on the side chat, if there are any audio problems, please let me know. Because if anything, OBS is really good at giving me a whole lot of trouble as far as audio is concerned. But let's get back to where we were. Um, and yeah, it appeared kind of strange to me that this would be going on when you realize that even the daughter of the person who wrote this song is coming out and saying, "No, no, no, it's not predatory." Um, when I looked it up this morning in the Font of All Knowledge, it seems to have been written. Where is the person's name here? Oh, Frank Lusser, I believe, or Loser, or something
Oh,
like that,
okay. Yeah.
wrote this song for use at parties. Because I guess when you went to parties in Hollywood in the 40s, you were expected to perform. So he and his wife, Lynn Garland, would perform this song as a cue to close, sort of like Goodnight Irene at the bars. Um, and it kind of caught on there. Everybody loved it. And he later sold it to MGM, who used it in the 1949 film Neptune's Daughter. What was really funny about that, when I looked up Neptune's Daughter, I found the clip from that film where the song was performed, and there was the one everybody remembers by Ricardo Montalban and Esther Williams, but uh, I had never seen this before. There was also a reversal of roles by Betty Garrett and Red Skelton. Um, so when I'm looking at the reversal of roles, I'm thinking, okay, they're not. He's not necessarily thinking, or at least I don't think he is, about this being predatory. So we got into conversation about this last night, and Obaid, why don't you pick this up with your take on it as you gave it to us last night?
Okay, my take on this is really simple. It's not just "Baby, It's Cold Outside." There is a meme, for a lack of a better term, going around where we need to ban everything that's going to offend us. Now, after the "Baby, It's Cold Outside" thing, This is from BBC. I just pulled this article up. They're talking about some other songs that need to be banned. And
Yes.
here are the songs they're talking about. Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues, because it says faggot and slut in the song. Okay, Do They Know It's Christmas? The song that they did to raise money for Ethiopia.
Oh my word.
Apparently it's paternalistic, so they have to ban it. Jingle
What?
Bells. Yeah. Jingle Bells, because you know you're making the horse work, because it's a one horse open sleigh and you're making the horse work too hard.
Oh.
Okay, so this is what BBC says should be banned, and this is from VH1. Deck the Halls should be
What?
banned.
Why?
Yep. Donde está Santa Claus? The Spanish, where is Santa Claus? I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. Santa Baby by Eartha Kitt. Dominic the
Oh,
Donkey.
man.
I don't know Dominic the Donkey.
Dominic
Oh,
the Donkey is
okay.
wonderful.
Yes.
White Christmas by Bing Crosby should be banned.
Why?
And then VH1 also mentions the Fairy Tale of New York, and they ended off with Baby It's Cold Outside. So these are the songs. So it's a progression of banning whatever you want to ban, whatever offends you. And I mean, it's not just the song. It's okay. You may say that Baby It's Cold Outside has been around since the 40s. It's not, it's not. Like I said, should we ban the opera Don Giovanni? Because he's a playboy and he goes around, seducing women and sleeping with them and leaving them and all that. So he's a cad. So should we ban that? I mean, that is part of our culture. And so is Baby It's Cold Outside. And then like this trend to say, well, Rudolph is problematic. The Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special is racist.
Yeah.
Like I said, Cambridge wanted to, I believe it was Cambridge, I can look it up right now, but they wanted to ban Shakespeare from their English department.
No, that is strange. That is crazy.
So, or get rid of all the classics because it's old white men. Now, where do we stop? Like, at what point? So my whole thing is that every day there's something new that's offensive. Every day something offends someone. So either we get rid of everything, or you explain to me what your exact worldview is. Give me a list of everything you want to have banned based on that worldview, and we can talk about it. Because if you're going to be going around incessantly banning things, well, let's just get rid of our entire past. Let's just make it all up as we go along. Let's not talk about anything horrible that we've done so that we can try to fix it, or that we can remember not to read it. It's, and this is going way off topic, but I'll give you an example of what I mean by so we not repeat it. Okay, when the genocide in Rwanda was going on, as it just started picking up, there was a opening of, I believe it was the opening of the Holocaust Museum in New York City, or it might have been an anniversary for it. But there was all these people there talking about never again, and they were making all kinds of speeches about never again while this genocide in Rwanda was going on. So it's great to talk about this, and it's great to have it, but let's talk about it. Let's really talk about it. Let's really bring it up. Let's not ban things. Again, it's off topic, but the Holocaust denial laws in Europe, I think, are horrendous. I think Holocaust denial is one of the stupidest things you can do. It's blatantly false. It's completely ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely.
But putting people in prison for denying the Holocaust. I mean, the problem you're gonna have is the only people who are gonna know about anything, or the only people, when you start banning this kind of stuff, when you start banning it wholesale, and like I said, it might be silly going from this one song to losing all of culture. And I know I'm making addictio ad absurdum, or reductio ad absurdum argument here, but it's
not necessarily.
But okay, I think Holocaust denial. Everyone was denying it. Then you get a person like Irving. I forget his first name. He is a historian. He looked this up. He went and studied the German of the time, and he went through because the language does evolve, and he went through everything, and he actually went in and studied and said this is why it's false. Now, just making a long saying, well, you can't talk about the Holocaust. The people, or you can't deny the Holocaust. The people who are on the side of don't deny the Holocaust, a lot of them never studied it because, well, it was banned, and it's a law that we have to say it happened. The people who do really study it are the people who are denying it, and unfortunately, you're giving up all that to the people who who you are trying to protect yourself from by banning things. You're just opening it up to them to then study it, talk about it, say whatever they want about it, and you have no clear argument against it. And it's, unless there's something specific, and then I know this, he goes into a thing with religion here, but I mean, unless there's something specific that says, you know, kill all these people, which, like I said, religious books do, and I mean, we can talk about that as well, but you know, nothing should be banned. Like, I am of the opinion, I'm a free speech absolutist. The First Amendment is the closest thing to absolute free speech, and it's a thing that should be cherished around the world. But up until the point where someone says or writes something that specifically goes out and says kill, I do not think anything should be banned or restricted or limited. I want to hear it all. I want to hear the disgusting stuff so I know what I'm fighting against. I want to hear things that uplift me, obviously, and I want to hear things that make me think, even though I disagree with them. And there's no other way we can grow as people, as as societies, as cultures. And if you close yourself off, everything's going to stagnate, and we're gonna forget things. People are going to become dumber. That's
Yeah,
my
and you don't
basic
want
take on
that
it.
at
No,
all. And I mean, Faye, what are you thinking when Obaid is talking about all this? I mean, I know what you were thinking last night, but the audience doesn't.
Well, I mean, like, I get the whole freedom of speech thing, but when we're talking about, and I really don't think there's anything wrong with any of these songs. It's a slice of culture where we've come from. It's not like be this way.
Hmm.
Like Santa Baby is fun and flirty, and
Oh yeah, definitely.
Baby It's Cold Outside is also fun and flirty, and there's a whole bunch of different things, but if you don't like a song, switch the channel. What I'm concerned about is um well, there seems to have been, especially this year, a confusion about like whether or not a media platform is obligated to allow certain types of speech on it. Like the
Okay,
whole
okay,
thing with Alex Jones,
okay.
or that man who was using I forget what platform it was, but he went there and got himself into like an anti-Semitic fury, and then went in and shot up a temple
okay,
during a
it
ceremony.
was a guy in Pittsburgh, and he went to the I forget the name of the synagogue, but yeah, he shot up.
Yeah,
Temple of
he
Life, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that was it.
I
so
know that I know
yeah.
that very well. It was very close to where I live.
So the conversation in social social media, or about social media, is whether or not platforms are obligated to have things on like that, or if they should remove it, or is that denying someone freedom of speech, blah blah blah.
yeah,
Like, no one can stop me from downloading it on iTunes unless iTunes stops providing it.
and something that came to my mind today, and I'm surprised it didn't come to my mind last night when we were talking, because the culture reference did come up last night as well. That the songs are part of our culture, etc. How about some ideas on how that would compare to flying the Alabama battle flag, the one everybody associates with the Confederacy? Um, I see some differences, definitely. I'd like to know what you guys think about any similarities or differences with that.
Well, okay. When we're talking about like the Confederate flag, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The X with the stars and the whole bit. Yeah.
Some people take that as I'm a rebel and I have this, and other people realize that no, that's not cool. That's just not cool. And I'm of the variety that says that's not cool. Like half of my family is from the north and half of my family is from the south. if you know what I mean.
Okay.
And it's like, when I run into people who fly the Confederate flag here, they're generally people I would never invite into my home.
I get you.
They're a
Definitely.
little they're a little racist, or at least that's how just a little racist,
Just a
and they're
tiny little bit. Like,
a little too fond of their guns, and a little too paranoid sometimes. But they're all
yeah.
really big individuals with a capital I. And if they have that bumper sticker or flag, that kind of like, I hate to say it, it's an indication to me like who not to talk to.
hmm Now, the way
Okay.
I'm looking at it, I don't know if you share this. I'm looking at one as historic and the other as current, where
Right.
the song is historic. I mean, they'll play it every Christmas, and I'd still like to know how it became a Christmas song because I don't think the setting in Neptune's Daughter was anything about winter. But then you've got the current thing, the current rebellion by those who fly the Confederate flag, who are trying to make a statement with it. Um,
I think a lot of people don't even realize what it represents. And that's fine. I mean, like, people can be wrong, right?
yeah,
But
absolutely. I'm wrong more times
you
than I can
can
count.
kind of tell. You can kind of tell. Like, you talk to someone for 5 minutes, they've got their Confederate flag, whatever, on, and blah blah blah, and it's like, okay, your values are way different than mine. I I don't wish you harm, but I'm gonna move along.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Bade, you started to say something.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
okay.
just gonna I'm gonna also get back to what you had said, Faye, about the platforming because I
Yeah.
agree. We have some overlap where I agree in a couple of points of contention. But okay,
I don't actually have a position on that. Actually, Obeyed.
okay. Well, like I said, I'll get back to that in a second.
I'm
Yeah.
still like thinking about that. I haven't come to any conclusions.
Okay.
So
Like I said, I have maybe a point of contention, a couple of small points of contention with what you'd said, but like I said, it's nothing huge. But okay, the Confederate
okay.
flag thing. A friend of mine, she did a meme about the hijab, and she used a Confederate flag. And what she said was, "It is your right to wear the hijab. It is your choice to wear it, whatever. But just be aware of the history of it. So if someone wants to fly the flag, and okay, be aware of the history of it. The flag was used as a rallying cry for many things. One of them being racism and slavery.
Uh huh.
It is also the flag of a defeated nation. So if you want to glory in that defeat, go right ahead. Right, it is the flag of a defeated
yeah.
nation. Um,
True, but it
but
shouldn't be on government property.
okay,
There
if you
you
want to
go.
argue,
Yeah.
okay, if you want to argue the government property thing, I agree with you. The government, any government in the United States, should not fly the flag of a defeated country that attacked them. Right.
Right.
and
Exactly.
and when it's used in state flags, like in the corner or whatever, that should be um, uh, that should be banned as well because it's you are in my mind it's a form of sedition or whatever. And yes, people will
Yes.
say, well,
Yes.
it's a heritage of the South. Isn't that fine? Fly it in your home. Fly it. Fly it at your place of business if you want. Like I thought it was stupid when a lot of this controversy started, and then they banned all the Dukes of Hazzard's reruns because the General Lee was on top of their car, right?
Right. Right.
Okay, and I watched the Dukes of Hazzard when I was a kid when it first
Oh, I
came out on
did
TV.
too.
Yeah, and okay, was there any racism in the Dukes of Hazzard? Yes, they had that flag on their car, but was that show racist in any way?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't see very many episodes.
Yeah, but okay, no, but like
It
I
wasn't.
I watched it.
Hi,
My
Russ.
dad, for whatever reason, liked it, and we would watch it. My dad actually liked Boss Hogg. He thought he was hilarious, and so but like I said, it goes back to this banning thing, right? Okay, the Me Too movement. Just for a second, and I promise you it connects. One of the people that got caught up in it at the very start was Garrison Keillor. Garrison Keillor ran a show on NPR based out of Minnesota called Lake Wobegon Stories, and it was about
Yes,
a
I
fictional
remember
town.
that show very well.
Okay, he got caught up in Me Too because of the following, and both parties agree to this. And this is from my reading the articles and my understanding of it. And everything I've read, both parties say this is exactly what happened. He was sitting after one of the recordings. He was sitting with a female staff member of the show. She started crying because of some family tragedy. I don't know exactly what it was. He went to console her, and as he was consoling her, either by accident or on purpose, he touched one of her breasts. Okay.
Okay.
He apologized then. He apologized to her the next morning. He sent her an email a couple of days later, again apologizing. And she said, don't worry about it. It was an accident. Things happen. No problem. And this was 10, 15 years ago. In the Me Too thing, this came out. They fired him. And not only did they fire him, his entire back catalog was deleted and gone. Like he has been made an unperson. Now,
oh my word.
Okay, now whether he touched her breast on purpose or not, if he did it on purpose, that's wrong, and yes, he should be called out for it. But not you don't erase a guy's history for something that happened 10 to 15 years ago. That, well, like I said, while is not correct, but that he had apologized, the person accepted the apology, everyone agrees to what exactly happened. It doesn't sound like he was Harvey Weinstein, right?
Right.
It doesn't sound.
Sounds more like he was closer to Al Franken.
Okay, so what? Okay, maybe fire him if you want to. You did something wrong. You sexually harassed someone, which I'm not defending sexual harassment. If he did it on purpose, that is something wrong, and he does need some sort of censure, or not censor, but censure,
yes.
Or something to say. Okay, you did this wrong, so maybe fire him, or say, you know what, you can't do your show this season. You'll lose your salary for this season for doing that. But to wipe out his entire history, so that's what I like. That's why I brought up the Dukes of Hazzard. It is part of the history of the United States. It does play a significant role in the development of that country, right? And so you have to talk about it, have it in museums, like you said, don't have it on public property, but talk about it, discuss it, just don't ban it, push it out of the way.
And, right. Let me be clear. When I was talking about it, I'm not talking about banning it.
No, I didn't say you were, but there are a lot of people.
I just want to be clear about that, though.
There are a lot of people who say ban it, whatever. And the no platforming thing you were bringing up, okay, and I agree with this. Private companies are not beholden to, in the United States, the First Amendment. The First Amendment is a government thing. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between the First Amendment and a principle of free speech. But if Twitter wants to ban people, let's just say, right? I'm not even going to go into the Patreon, whatever thing, but if Twitter wants to ban whatchamacallit, Milo Yiannopoulos or Alex Jones or whatever. Okay, you have terms of service. Be consistent with them. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, ISIS still has accounts. The Muslim Brotherhood still has accounts. Hezbollah still has an account, and they're all with the blue check mark. And these are people who are calling for the death of people. These are people who are pushing terrorism. These are people who are pushing, Islamic supremacy. And these are people, they're misogynistic, they're homophobic, they're racist, and they're violent. So if you're going to ban Alex Jones because he's a nut bar, and he is, let's call a spade here. The guy is absolutely nuts. But be consistent. If you have terms of service, apply them consistently. That's all I ask.
Absolutely.
It's your platform. You want to ban things. These radio stations don't want to play that song. But don't lecture me about how I'm a rapist if I listen to that song. And don't do it because of a principle. Don't do it because you're shaming it. And don't do it because it's opposed to your worldview and it's in your mind it's blasphemy. That's my take on that little platform, no platforming thing from private companies. Like I said, I believe they have the right because they are a private company, but there should be some standard principle by which they follow, and they should stick to that principle. Exactly. And I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah,
exactly. And, it's like if they decided to say get rid of the religious bantering, they have to do it for the Christians and everyone, not just the atheists, not just et cetera, et cetera. Do it.
Okay, and we also have with us this morning the frustrated atheist, Ty Russ, and you got anything to throw into this ring?
Well, I really wanted to come in whenever I heard about this whole entire ban, the song that has to do with the one horse open sleigh.
Oh, Jingle Bells, yes.
Yes, because
not even a Christmas song.
Well, the thing is, I own horses. I have horses. And once I heard that it's like because you're making this horse do all this work type of thing, I just had to laugh because the thing is horses are creatures that are burden animals. They can handle burdens. You're looking at a creature that alone weighs a good ton, and then on top of that, you have they can hold on their backs alone a rider who has the who has the saddle and all the other good stuff, and that can easily get up to anywhere between 300 to 400 pounds with the saddle and a full-grown man on it, and the horse is just fine. Um, Now these sleds and these carts that people usually tend to use on horses and other uh, beings such as ox and whatnot, uh, the weight itself is distributed evenly among the back of the horse. So as you are being pulled by the sled, the horse, it may feel it, but it's like if you have a toddler on your back. You're not you can feel the toddler there,
Hmm.
but it's not painful, it doesn't hurt. It's you just know the toddler's there.
It's just not one of those things that I do on a daily basis.
Right. But it's just one of those things that if it were to occur, it that's how it would feel, and that's how it would feel to the horse. Is it's nothing that's really problematic for the horse.
I think I knew where it comes from though.
Oh,
There's a viral video where an incredibly obese person tries to get on a horse, and he's way too heavy, like the back
oh yeah,
legs are buckling, and the horse decides to ditch him
Oh
and
boy.
yeah.
does it very like, yeah, you're not sitting on me. And then the other one is, I think, in New York City. I think it was this year where
Oh, I think I know what you're talking
there
about.
was a horse that was doing it was a one horse carriage type thing, but they didn't water the horse enough, and the
Yes,
horse
yeah.
died of heat exhaustion right
That's
there
the
in the
one I
middle of
thought
the
you were going to
street.
talk about. Yeah.
So those two
Yeah,
things have hit
the
the
mainstream.
attention.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I
And
think the horse that died, sorry, I think might have been in Montreal because there's a big uproar in Montreal as well about the way they call them calèches, like the handsome cabs.
right.
The way they are treated here is horrendous. And yeah, they're out in the middle of summer all day long, barely watered and stuff like that.
And they
Which
die.
yeah, and
Hmm.
okay, like you're saying, horses are beasts of burden, and in some respects, you got thoroughbreds for racing or whatever.
Hmm.
And they're meant to do tasks, but at the same point, you have to look after them.
Of
You have
course.
some, yeah. And I'm not saying you don't, but I mean, sorry, I mean, like again,
Uh,
you're bringing in facts where a lot of these things are not based on any kind of actual fact. It's based on
right.
facts that are based off people's feelings. It's they're
Yeah.
not real facts type of thing, right?
Right, but
Hmm.
that's the only thing I can think of is that the horse deaths from not being watered, etc. That that's a thing of contention because uh, I I appreciate when people do care about animals and things like that, but don't get completely like ridiculous.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
Hell,
I just
my
wish.
horse.
we used to use them to like carry entire families and households over long distances.
Yeah, does anybody know the term Conestoga wagon? Yeah.
yeah.
And I looked up carriage horse dies of heat exhaustion, and it seems to be quite common. I'm seeing something in Sicily. When I was looking through Google, I mean, carriage horse dies New York City, Montreal, Ontario. So, unfortunately, this seems to happen quite a lot, and I wish it wouldn't. I wish people had more sense
Yes.
to
I
take care
mean,
of these animals decently.
yeah. The thing is whenever you have these animals, I mean, I've got to say, my horses get taken better care of than I do. they they get the it's like so one of my horses is a complete and utter drama queen. He literally colicked, and we were like, oh my god, what's happening. So we changed his food because we thought, okay, it could be this diet because this one particular feed, they meet the nutritional requirements but not necessarily have the same ingredients as the last batch they did.
Right.
So, and that can definitely cause your horse to colic. And so we changed the feed that they get to a more expensive feed. And then he was still kind of colicking, and it looked like he had that and whatnot, until the girl who runs the barn that we board at, she went in there to check on him. She sat on his stomach and rubbed his head. And the very second she got up to leave to go do something else, he got up real quick, pooped, and just kind of looked around like, hey, where are you going? Come back. Come pay attention to me.
Oh,
He
gee.
literally did this for the attention.
Okay.
Oh, but not to ignore that. Although that is very cute.
Yeah.
um, um, I think I think we have to be careful about freedom of speech. Now, I'm not saying one of my arguments lately, and maybe I'm completely wrong for taking it, but if you say something publicly, like when Trump was campaigning and he's like, I will pay the legal fees of people who beat up the people in this room,
Yeah.
like the undesirable people in this room. I think that should never be allowed.
Well, no,
Okay,
that's
To
not free. That's not freedom
any
of speech.
any
That's incitement to violence.
yeah,
that is incitement to violence, but the thing is, it wasn't handled that way. And part of the argument at the time was that's his freedom of speech. And everyone went nuts.
okay,
And now with Alex Jones, they're going, that's his freedom of speech. But what he was doing, he was calling for the harassment of parents who had their children murdered at a school.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my 2 cents in here because, like I said, I am a free speech absolutist, and I do draw the line when someone says go kill this person or go kill group X, and they are saying it. The Trump thing skirts that very closely, but because he said, like, let's get some police in here, let's get some people, but and I'd have to go back and look at exactly what he said, but from my memory, he said, yes, I will pay the legal fees of anyone who does something. So he's not saying he's giving. He's saying I'm okay with you doing it. I'll protect you, but he's not actually going out and saying go beat these people up. Like I said, I'd
Yeah,
have
he
to go back.
did.
Okay, like I said, I'd have to. If he did say that,
He,
then yes, that
because there
is
was more than one incident, and he really got into it. And
okay.
I don't know if he misspoke or whatever, but
Okay,
he did
no, but like I said,
try.
that I believe crosses the line, and I don't. But like I said, I believe anything should go up until that point.
Well,
Alex Jones,
there's even legal
yeah, no,
precedent. I just took a look at Schenck versus the United States, 1919, and in the decision was written, the question in every case is whether the words used are used in such circumstances and are of such a nature as to create a clear and present danger that they will bring about the substantive evils that Congress has a right to prevent. So there's
okay,
even a legal precedent.
no,
Um,
but if you want to talk legal precedent, you have to go through the whole thing because
yeah,
that was again then updated in the '60s. So it started out with um, what's his name, Oliver Wendell
Charles
Holmes.
Manson.
No, it started off with Oliver Wendell Holmes
Okay.
when there was Yiddish pacifists handing out pamphlets in Yiddish in New York City to
yes,
oppose World War One. They
yes.
were brought in, and everyone gets this quote wrong because they say Wendell Holmes said, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. What Wendell Holmes actually said was, you cannot falsely yell fire in a crowded theater, which I'm still opposed to. But then later, a year later, after I believe what you had, the decision you're talking about, he wrote a paper saying he was wrong in his decision on with the fire in a crowded theater thing. And then in the '60s, a new case. Like this had been tried a couple of times, but I believe the last one was in the 60s, and again there might have been something later, where they updated what they meant by dangerous words and clear and present danger, and it has to be an imminent and immediate threat of violence. That's where they kind of fall on. If you go to the fire website, so fi like fire.org, it's the Freedom of Individual uh, uh, responsibility, or individual something in education, like they fight for free speech on campuses, and they did a very good timeline of all the cases in the United States on free speech, starting with the Oliver Wendell Holmes one. So Alex Jones asking people to go harass parents is disgusting and as despicable and horrific as he is. Him calling the parents crisis actors, blah, 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 saying it was all staged, horrible. But harassment is not violence. Harassment is disgusting. You can then have those people arrested for stalking, harassing, or whatever. But calling for harassment is not calling for violence. He did not violate any terms of free speech, even according to the First Amendment. So I don't think Alex Jones should have been banned. That being said, like I said, it is a private company. They have the right to ban whoever they want. YouTube can kick me off. Twitter can kick me off. Facebook can kick me off. I just ask it to be consistent. The Trump thing, like I said, the Trump thing, that's why put that caveat. I would have to go back and watch that, because from my memory, just that one little thing, I don't remember him inciting violence. But if you're inciting violence, that's where it ends, and that's the limit I think should be put on it.
The Trump thing I took as if you want to do this right now, I will pay your legal fees. But then again, I could be full of shit because I usually am.
He did it more than once, and one time he was like egging on the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, okay, and again,
I do believe the term was beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, and you don't take, I mean, I'm not saying you don't take it lightly, but at the same point, it's Cheeto Man. Like, come on, it's scary that he's got this much power. It's scary that what he can do. It's all that.
I read an article recently where the author believed that were Trump to incite his followers to insurrection, they would gladly follow him. Now, I don't know how accurate that is, but that would, if true, indicate a man with tremendous power over his following.
I will think that thing on Trump, like most of his followers would rise in insurrection. I take it. Again, I'm gonna bring this back to Islam just for a sec. You have the people who commit jihad, so like ISIS and stuff like that. Then you have the people like the Muslim Brotherhood who want to use the political systems in other countries to impose Islam on everyone else. Both of these people are horrific. Then you have the people who are call them conservative, literalist, fundamentalist, whatever, but they are one step below. They don't want to do any of that stuff, but they will support it. So how many of Trump's followers are in that camp? Like, you will have that core that will go out and fight in Trump's war. Then you'll have some that'll say, okay, well, let's try to do this diplomatically, but they'll aid the war effort. And then you'll have some who are on the sidelines cheering on those other.
Okay, you're cutting in. Obaid, you're cutting in and out a little bit.
Okay, sorry. How many of that 50 million that voted for him, or whatever that number was that voted for him, or his base, will actually pick up weapons and get violent? I don't think the majority will. I think
no, definitely not the majority.
I don't think the majority will either. But the thing is, when it comes to the harassment of these parents, some of them had moved several times, and they kept they were no longer able to pursue a peaceful life because of the call for harassment.
Okay, like I said,
keep it up. I'm going to grab some coffee.
If you get called, or Alex Jones calling for these people to be harassed, I don't think it's a violation of free speech. But at the same time, it is a criminal offense.
Yeah.
So you can have him criminalized for the actions that his followers did based on what he told them to do, because he was inciting them to commit a criminal act.
Uh-huh.
But that in and of itself, like, me going on TV today or putting out something on YouTube and I get 2 million people to watch it. Like, yeah, go out today and loot some stores. Everyone who loots the stores and did it because of what I said, I am responsible for that theft. But I did not. I should not lose my rights to speak on that platform. Okay, granted, if I go to prison, I have to live under some rules or whatever. But like I said, I should not lose my platform there because as stupid as that was and as illegal as it is, it wasn't to the point of, like I said, inciting violence. And again, I'm not advocating going out telling people to go steal and anything like that. I'm not, don't break laws, people. But you have to, if you want to give, like that's why I say we should give me your worldview and we can, I'll give you mine, and I want to give it to you in such a way that you don't come back to me and like that woman on BBC was interviewing Jordan Peterson, like, so are you saying I'm a lobster, right? You don't do that. Like we should be able to give each other the lens through which we look at problems. And then if you say, okay, I would like free speech up to this point, and I say, no, I think free speech, but at least we can have an argument about it. So when we know where each one of us is coming from, like I said, my whole thing is, if you want to arrest him for that, if that happened, and you can throw a direct chain, then yes, he is responsible for it. But to take away his rights to speak because he said that, I think is wrong.
Well, how would I take away someone's right to speak?
Okay, if you get them taken off a platform, if you make it so that they can never speak again, if they want to put on a speech and you get the government to shut them down, you're taking away their rights.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, like I said, Twitter banning someone is within their rights under the law. Under the spirit of free speech, I think they're breaking that spirit of free speech. It's two slightly different issues right there.
I have to disagree. Like, you know how you said it's like a private company and blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't prevent him from going to a different platform or creating his own platform or doing
Okay.
whatever. He can go to town halls, he can go on tour, he can do this, he can do that. He still has so many avenues.
No, like that's why I said
Well,
like under the law he's not, and Twitter's perfectly right. In the principle of the matter of free speech, even Twitter banning him under the principle is not taking away his rights, but it's Twitter banning his speech on Twitter, and in my mind, that it goes against the principle of free speech. But in his case, it was very specific because Twitter banned him. Then within a day, he got banned from YouTube, Facebook. He lost his Patreon, and I believe PayPal. And then I think MasterCard said they would stop accepting payments from MasterCard for him, even on his website. So that was a concentrated effort from a bunch of companies to deny him any kind of platform. That there is a problem.
The thing there it is a problem as far as his, as far as if you want to say, that the free speech itself is being infringed upon. But at the same time, we still run into the issue of the fact that this is a collective movement that we can clearly see since he's been deplatformed from just about everything besides his own website. But this is also, you gotta, how can I word this right? This is something that it may have been a collective thing, but it could be a collective thing as far as each and every individual one of these all kind of agreed that this is something that goes against what they believe on their own websites and stuff. Like, for instance, Twitter was the first to say, you know what, I don't like the way what he's saying on our platform, so we're just going to, ban him. And bam. And like then YouTube and everyone else just kind of follows suit because they're like, well, yeah, he's doing that shit here too.
Yeah, but okay, he is. That's fine. Like I said, they're private companies, and I'm not arguing that they're breaking the law. Again, gets back to ban him because he breaks your terms of service. If I have agreed to the terms of service at Twitter, if I break them, I'm not going to complain if Twitter, says, okay, you did this and you broke it. But at the same time, like I said, please be consistent.
Exactly.
How many others are out there that have this stuff? Okay, like this thing with Kevin Hart. Okay, he can't host the Oscars because 10 years ago, and I don't even know what he tweeted like but still fine. What he did was wrong. But then,
Hmm.
the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn, as a 40-year-old man, he made jokes about fucking little kids. And
Hmm.
he didn't lose his. I mean, he got kicked off the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but he's still in Hollywood. He's still getting other movies to direct. Whereas Kevin
Yeah.
Hart was like, "No, sorry, you can't host this." And then there, there, there has to be some consistency here. If
Oh,
you,
I totally agree.
that's what I'm arguing about with the Alex Jones thing. I'm not arguing about Twitter has no right to do it. Like I said, in my mind, it breaks the spirit of free speech, but that's not the law in the states.
Hmm.
But just please be consistent. You know,
Of course.
They're not
Yeah,
consistent at all, Twitter.
But
the other
even
therein lies the problem. That's my beef with all of that.
the other thing
but
that came to
even
my the other thing that came to my mind when you were talking about this, could the Alex Jones affair be viewed as a bunch of companies uh, collectively acting in their own individual interests? In other words, it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? They're not conspiring, but it just so happened that each one of them individually said, "No, I don't want this guy around because I don't want my company perceived badly." Is there a difference with that? With
mm,
Like I said, it could be that, and if it was that, it was like, okay, well, Twitter did it. We want to seem virtuous, or you actually have a problem with Alex Jones and you ban him. But again, if you're banning him from your platform, it's a private company, okay, it's a publicly owned company, but at the same point, Jack or Mark Zuckerberg or whoever's the CEO of each respective company, they can say, I don't want this person on my platform, and get rid of them. They don't have to give you a reason, but if the reasons they're giving you is their terms of service were violated, then be
be
honest and
consistent.
yeah.
Yes.
And like I said,
oh yeah.
I'm a broken record at that point, but that is my biggest beef with these people. But I find it, and again, this is conjecture on my part. I have no proof of this, but it was highly coincidental that the day after, a couple of days after Twitter, all of a sudden, everyone else, within like 30 minutes of each other, all just banned him. So
Mm-hmm.
it was
Well,
highly coincidental that happened like that, all
Well, I
individually.
have
going
a
back
I
to
have a
Christmas.
feeling. I just really quick.
Sure.
I have a feeling that when it comes when it comes to Alex, that like his excuse for everything he said, and he did this during his um divorce trial and stuff. It's entertainment. It's only entertainment. And okay, fine, maybe it is only entertainment and he's playing a character and ah ha 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 ha. The only thing
Hmm.
is, with some of the cases with those parents, I think they were getting ready to sue the social media platforms, and
Yeah.
they didn't want to be dragged into a legal thing. And it's like every day, if you have someone who's constantly upping the ante in their rhetoric and their quote unquote performance, whether it's like his actual feelings or even if it's just entertainment and he's playing a character, there comes to a point where I'm gonna try to protect myself legally, and I don't want this person to be associated with my brand.
And then
I
is it
I
going to
can
look?
see that, but other than that, like I'm a big supporter of if you don't like it, turn the channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, is
If
it
you
going to go
don't
that?
like it, block the person. If you don't like it, blah blah blah. Yet at the same time, I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. Be consistent, but I think when it came to him, it was, I don't want to get dragged into a lawsuit. Frustrated? You have the floor. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Oh well. The only thing I have left to say about Alex Jones is that I found that it is very very interesting and very very funny that the man who sits there and does all these things and says that this is free speech and that you shouldn't it's not it doesn't mean it's not free speech whenever it's something that you don't like is the same man that on his very own website sits there and pretty much openly says that if you say anything against me, then you will be banned from my website.
Okay, but again, I mean, here's a guy who talks about interdimensional child molesters and lizard people and turning frogs gay. So I don't expect much from him. But when you come out with these companies and these grandiose claims like Google, don't be evil when they first started, right? And stuff like that, then I expect something more from you. The guy who talks about interdimensional child molesters, I can't really take that seriously. I some of the stuff he says is horrific and whatever, but interdimensional child molesters. I mean, come on, but it's yes, he's wrong. A lot of people the same people who are freaking out that Roseanne got fired, want other people fired because Roseanne got fired and they put this stuff up. Here's some old tweets or whatever. It's just like, okay, you know what? If you're pissed off that Roseanne got fired, don't ask for other people to get fired. Maybe point it out and say, can we have some consistency here? What I want, like I said, when I say consistency, that's why I want to know, what do you want banned? What do you think is wrong? Give me your list of things and give me your terms and services. In general, people as well. What is your worldview? Why do you want all this stuff gone? And then be consistent to it, because I'll hold you to it. But don't just, okay, Roseanne did this. I don't like the fact that she supports Trump. I want her banned. This person said this, but I like all his other policies, so I don't want him banned, even though what he said is exactly the same as what Roseanne said. Sorry, it can't work that way. There has to be one policy, and you have to stick to it. And I'm saying this knowing full well that I am hypocritical quite a bit. Like everyone is. Like we all are hypocritical.
Oh, I am as well.
I am as well. I have to admit, I am ruled by my emotions a lot, which is one of the reasons I've never been religious.
Okay.
Wait, what? I'm sorry, I was in the middle of typing in the chat. What did you say, Faye, about the
I'm a
emotional
hypocrite.
thing?
I'm a hypocrite. I'm emotional. I will make decisions based on emotions a lot.
Oh, I've done that more than I care to think about, especially in my love life.
I have no problem admitting that I am very wrong sometimes, and I do need to be corrected. And when people do correct me, I appreciate it.
Yay. Definite yay. Okay, that's not my door that's being knocked on. That's okay. It's great to be broadcasting out of your apartment studio and somebody comes by. Hi, can I have a cup of sugar, please? But I see that we're starting to approach the top of the hour, and I like to keep these at around an hour or so for the rewatch potential, because the longer they get, the less likely the future people are to watch them.
Agreed.
I want to say, Obaid, Faye, Russ, I am so happy and thankful that you guys came on the show today and got some good conversation going. And I want to extend the invitation, Obaid especially, if you are welcome on this show.
Well, thank you very much.
The door is open. If there's anything,
it was a lot of fun.
Yay! And Faye is going to be with me again tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong, Faye, but I like to think of it as gardening for a better America. You think that's a pretty good description?
Yeah, I think so. But my argument is this can be done across the world.
And I want to ask all of you.
And should be. This is something where if people might like. I usually don't tell people what to do, but this is something that I wish society was doing. And if I had a magic wand, I'd wave it and make it there. So it's something I feel extremely strongly about.
Yeah, I got that impression over the last few days, which is a good thing, definitely. And I want to give you guys a little bit of a chance to promote yourselves. Let everybody know who you are and what you do, as Cy Strike would say. Um,
Uh-huh.
Obaid, why don't you give us the start off here?
Um,
Do you have a channel or a?
I do a podcast with a couple other ex-Muslims. It's called Heretics Corner. You can find it on YouTube. Just look up Heretics Corner. On Twitter, it's at Heretics Corner. And if you want to find me on Twitter, it's just at Obaidomer. So Obaidomer.
Okay, and I can throw that into the description
Yeah.
so people can find you if they care to. Um, Faye, what are you up to besides what we're going to be doing later on today?
Uh, well, my channel has been hosting guest speakers such as Luciano Gonzalez and Christy Santiago, where they get their platform on my channel. Luciano does have his own channel, but like he said, there's some subjects he would rather do on my channel, and that's fine. And I love it, and I look forward to it. It's like the highlight of my week. But I'm also going to be adding teenage voices so that you can hear what they think about art and the struggles of like what's going on in the media and how it's affecting them. Um,
Yeah.
their concerns about politics, their concerns about the future, what they're going to inherit, and I'm buying them microphones, and eventually I will buy them a laptop.
Oh,
But
wow.
It's really nice of you.
this is what my Patreon's going to go for. One of them is a film wants to be a film student. He's written away for grants, trying to get equipment so he can make his own movies. He writes screenplays. He's really involved in all the arts. Uh, she's the same, but she wants to do more for like Broadway and singing and all kinds of acting and blah blah blah. But she also like wants to take business courses and she wants to know grant writing, and they're both very focused. They're both very young, and
Wonderful.
I'll finally have some work safe content. But uh, what do you call it? But like they are raring to go, and I'm sitting there going, I want you to be safe. I'm going through the rules of like like you're going to be online. You're going to be associated with me. I don't want you to have contact with the adults because like there are things that parents have said to me and I'm going to hold them to those rules.
Yay, and since
So
you
being very careful about their privacy and what they are and are not allowed to disclose to others. So that's part of it too. But their voices will be added to my channel very soon. I do inquisitions where I ask people questions, not necessarily looking for specific answers, just honest ones and
and since you
such.
mentioned it, and the use sounds like a very good one, why don't you tell us where we can find your Patreon
I
so we
it,
can
it
throw money at you?
it it's on my Twitter bio. I have my Patreon. I have my PayPal. Um, I'm part of a group there. Because I hide all my online information. I hide all my real life information. But yeah, that that's what I'm doing, and like the Patreon, it definitely won't be wasted because both of
Okay,
these
I
young
found it.
people, both of these young people do not come from affluent families.
Okay, got you. Yeah, and I take it they would need all the help they could get, really, just to get started. And
Yeah,
it's a very worthy thing you've got going here. So I'm going to suggest everybody in the audience and everybody who's listening later on, please throw money at Faye.
thank you.
20s, 50s, stuff like that.
Well, I also have to come up with special Patreon content. I haven't done that yet. Um, not because I'm not motivated, but because my work schedule is gone crazy, but it does slow down after Christmas, and I will
Okay,
have
that's a
more
good thing.
time. So there's that. And oh, I don't want to forget, like, the other thing, I'm going to be trying to be adding more content. I want to find more people who have left their religion, whether it's uh no matter what the religion is. I want more people. There seems to be an influx of ex-Christians, and I want other religions involved, which is another reason why I asked Obeyed, because he's an ex-Muslim, and
Hmm.
I it there are a lot of the same struggles, but
Yeah.
there are also unique struggles involved as well, and I want that position to be as respected.
Oh, indeed, absolutely. And okay, Russ, what are you doing,
Yes.
and where do we find you?
Okay, I am Frustrated Atheist on YouTube and on Twitter. Um, well, right now I'm on Twitter. I'm Russ Nye the Science Guy because it was a joke on with Tatted Atheist, who is now Tatted Philosophy. But I like I said on YouTube, I'm Frustrated Atheist. I tend to do more science related topics, whether it be about whatever, and I do the occasional debunking of other things. Right now, I'm working on a couple of different series. One being the science for the newly deconverted,
Mm.
where I give newly deconverted people rough science answers and just an overall kind of summary of it, and then give them the information to be able to know where to find more in-depth answers, such as videos of other people who are more science knowledgeable than I am, and also the actual literatures and stuff like that from different areas of whatever science. Um,
Okay.
I'm also working on a series that's about miracles and what how all these quote unquote miracles that people always think of are actually just can be explained away by natural phenomenon. Um, that they're not exactly miraculous as you think they are. And I'm gonna go from the very mundane things like people surviving car wrecks and to some of the bigger ones like the quote unquote untouchables. If y'all know what that is.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm gonna cover all of those and and eventually I'm gonna get to the point to where I'm also going to do the whole entire um, rising from the dead, the
Oh
biggest
my.
the biggest miracle that people keep going for whenever they said, "Oh, he has to be God because he rose from the dead."
Are you going to use the
Uh,
term dead ringer?
Dead ringer.
No, 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 no. Okay, do you know where the term dead ringer comes from?
Yes, the safety coffins.
Yeah, because people would they thought they were dead because I
Yep.
think it's something with to do with the lead in the plates or something like that, and they would
Yep.
look like they were dead. And they would put a little bell with a rope and then
Yes.
so if they woke up in the grave, they could ring it, right? So
I love the story of that. And Russ, do you have a Patreon or something so people can throw money at you? Um. Okay.
Where'd he
Something.
go?
I don't know. He still looks like he's there.
Yeah. Everything got really quiet all of a sudden. Let's see where we are. Let me get the. Yeah, he looks like he's still there. Okay, Russ. If you
We
were.
can't hear you.
Okay, he just fell off. So he must have had one of his disconnects, because I know that
Uh,
his internet connection can be a little flaky. So if he doesn't come back in a minute or two, um, yeah, I again I want to thank you folks for being here on the channel and being as informative as you are, as educational as you are. Oh, here we go. Things
Sorry.
things working a little better there, Russ. Do you
Yeah, sorry
have
about
do you have a Patreon that you can tell people about so they can throw money at you?
Oh yes, I do have a Patreon. It's just if you go on Patreon, just look under Frustrated Atheist, and you'll find me.
Okay,
Um,
I'll
I
look that up and stick it in the description here.
I can actually hold on. I can probably pull up the. I can probably pull it up. Just give me 1 second. I can
Okay.
get on the interwebs,
Uh,
and hopefully, the reason why I keep dropping out is because I was doing it via my tablet. But my tablet is pretty much decided it does not want to cooperate
oh, like my furnace.
because apparently I've used up all the data for it.
Oops.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when you bring that up, I can throw that
Let's see
into the
here.
description. And again, I want to say I'm looking forward to having all of you on the show again, whether collectively or severally, because each one of you I find to be fascinating and very, very intelligent, very informative, and this is the sort of thing I'm looking for here on this channel. And I hope all 8 of you that are watching right now appreciate that as well. Um,
Mhm.
Yay! And we'll let Russ do his looking. There we go. Oh, you're very welcome, Terry, and I thank you for coming by. It's really great to be appreciated. And speaking of appreciation, I guess I want to thank my patrons. Mark Caesar, who was my first patron back at the end of November, and somebody brand new who, for whatever reason, decided to throw some money at me, some unknown person by the name of the Godless Iowan. I want to thank you extremely many much. It's humbling, I think that somebody actually appreciates what I do. And I thank you for that. Oh, great. You've got the Patreon up in there, Russ, and I'll pick it up and I will stick it in the whatever you want to call that thing that I think it's called the
The doobly-doo.
description. Yeah. Uh, I'll just what's the word I'm looking for? Abbreviate it. And there we are. Okay, and being Um, okay, I'm going to have to redo that because there's a redirect going on over there. Um, but I want to thank you again. I want to thank everybody for coming by. And I think it's about time to bring everything to a close here. And with that, I think I'll say thanks a lot, troops. See you on the other side.
Take
Thanks.
care.